The giant alien woman nobody wanted. Zara stood at the edge of the market, her back straight, her eyes watching the crowd. Tall, too tall for most species, and strong like the mountains of her home planet, she stood alone. No one talked to her. No one came near her. The alien market was full of color, noise, and laughter. Small alien children ran through the stalls. Merchants shouted prices. Lovers held hands. But when Zara walked past, everything became quiet. Mothers pulled their children close. Shopkeepers looked away. Some even closed their stalls. Zara had learned to live with it. She did not cry anymore. She did not speak. She just walked alone. She was the last of the Garnock tribe, a warrior race that once ruled the stars. But the galaxy had changed. Now, soft words and thin bodies were loved. People said Zara was too much, too large, too scary, too old, and worst of all, unmateable. No male will ever choose her, they whispered. She is not beautiful. She is a monster. Zara heard these words every day. But today, something felt different. She could feel someone watching her, not with fear, not with hate, but with curiosity. She turned slowly. Standing near the tools stall was a human male. He was not tall, not strong. His clothes were plain, and his hands had small cuts from work. But he was staring at her, and he was not looking away. Zara blinked. Usually, when people caught her gaze, they turned their heads quickly. But this man didn't. He stepped forward. A child ran by and bumped into Zara's leg. The small alien fell. Zara quickly bent down and helped the child up. Her big hands moved gently, carefully. The child looked at her wide-eyed and ran back to his mother. The human saw it all. He smiled. Zara felt her chest tighten. No one ever smiled at her. Later that day, she stood near a fountain, watching the sky. Her thoughts were heavy. Maybe it was time to leave this planet. Maybe the loneliness was too much. "You drop this," a voice said. Zara turned sharply. It was the same human. He held a small bag of fruit, hers. She must have dropped it near the stall. She took it from him, confused. "Thank you," she said in her deep voice. She expected him to step back. Most did when they heard her speak. But the man only nodded. "You're welcome," he said. "I'm Jack." Zara stared at him. Silence fell between them. He didn't move. "You're not afraid of me?" she finally asked. Jack shrugged. "Should I be?" Zara didn't know what to say. "You're different," he said, looking up at her. "Strong. Not like the others here." "Too different," Zara said. "No one wants me here." Jack frowned. Maybe they're just blind. For a moment, time stopped. Zara's heart beat a little faster. No one had ever said that to her, not even in her dreams. Jack continued, "I work in the repair bay, just down the road, if you ever want to talk, or just need help with something." He gave her a small card with his name and a comm number. Then he walked away. Zara stood still, the card in her hand. Her large fingers shook just a little. The next day, she returned to the market. And again, she saw Jack. He waved. She nodded back. They talked. A little at first, then more. He told her about Earth, about machines, about coffee. She told him about her planet, her people, and the wars. He never judged her, never laughed at her size or her past. One evening, as they sat near the fountain again, Jack said, "You know, you have the kindest eyes I've ever seen." Zara looked away quickly. She didn't want him to see the tears. For the first time in many years, she felt seen. Not as a monster, not as a mistake, but as someone who mattered. But in the shadows of the market, others watched them, and they didn't like what they saw. He spoke to the outcast, and changed everything. The night was quiet on the outer side of the alien city. Twin moons floated in the dark sky, like two pale eyes, watching everything below. The stars looked sharp and cold, like broken glass spread across a black blanket. Zara sat alone on a stone bench beside the quiet river. The city lights flickered across the water, dancing like ghosts. She often came here when she wanted to forget the voices, the stares, the silence. But tonight, she was not alone. Footsteps approached, light, steady steps, not heavy like the guards, not rushed like the traders. Calm, confident. She didn't look up. "Mind if I sit?" said a voice. Zara closed her eyes. She knew that voice now. It was soft, yet firm. Warm, but not foolish. It was the only voice in this city that didn't treat her like a threat. "If you like," she said, still staring at the water. Jack sat beside her. He was holding 2 steaming cups. "Tea," he said, "from Earth. It helps with thinking." She took the cup carefully, her large fingers wrapping around it like it was made of glass. She brought it close to her nose and smelled it. Strange, but not unpleasant. They sat in silence for a while. The wind touched their skin like a whisper. "I've been thinking about you," Jack said at last. Zara raised an eyebrow, but didn't speak. "I mean," he said quickly, not in a weird way, just wondering. "How does someone as strong as you end up sitting alone every day?" Zara let out a breath. Not quite a sigh. Not quite a growl. "Strength means nothing here," she said. "They want beauty. Small hands. Soft voices. I am too much." Jack looked at her. "They're fools." Zara turned to him. "And what about you? Why are you here, human? Why speak to me? What do you want?" There was no anger in her voice, just curiosity. Jack smiled. "I fix things, Zara. Machines, wires, engines, but not everything broken is made of metal." She blinked. "You think I'm broken?" "No," he said. "I think you've been hurt, and you pretend not to care. But I see it. When people whisper, when they laugh, you stand tall, but your eyes look away." Zara looked down at the cup in her hands. "What do you see when you look at me?" she asked. Jack didn't answer right away. He leaned back, looked up at the stars. "I see someone who could crush me with one hand," he said with a small laugh. "But also someone who helped a child without thinking. Someone who didn't run when everyone else turned away. I see someone brave, someone rare." Zara didn't move. She didn't speak. But inside her chest, something shifted, something warm and painful. No one had ever seen her like this, not even her own people. They talked long into the night. Jack told stories of Earth, of blue oceans, loud cities, soft music, and the taste of pizza. Zara listened, truly listened, for the first time in years. In return, she told him of the old Garnock ways, of fire songs, mountain duels, and sky hunts. When dawn came, Jack stood up. "I should go. Early shift in the bay." Zara nodded. She stood too, towering over him, but somehow it didn't feel strange anymore. As he turned to leave, he paused. "Zara?" "Yes. I'm glad you didn't walk away the first time I said hello." And then he was gone. Zara stayed by the river a long time after. Her tea had gone cold. Her heart had not. For the next few days, they met often, in quiet corners, under broken streetlights, behind the noise of the city. Jack brought her books from Earth. She read slowly, her big hands turning tiny pages with care. She brought him food from her world, strange glowing fruit and dark, rich stew. He ate it all, laughing, even when it burned his tongue. One day, Jack came with a gift. A simple silver chain with a small blue stone in the center. "A moonstone," he said, "rare on Earth. Not valuable. Just peaceful." Zara took it like it was treasure. For her, it was. But peace did not last. Whispers began to grow louder. Aliens stared longer. Some followed them. One night, as they walked near the fountain, a tall alien male blocked their path. He was from the council guard. Green skin, golden armor. "This is wrong," he said, staring at Jack. "You shame your kind. Humans and Garnock do not bond." Jack didn't flinch. "Who decides that?" The guard sneered. "The law, the council, tradition." Zara stepped forward. "Then tradition is blind." The guard looked her up and down with disgust. "You are a relic. Your kind was made for war, not love. No male wants you. This human is playing a game." Jack clenched his fists. "I'm not playing anything. I care about her." The guard turned and walked away, but his voice echoed behind him. "The council will hear of this." That night, Zara sat in silence, her large arms crossed, her eyes staring at the stars again. Jack sat beside her, quieter than usual. "They will come for you," she said. "I know. You can still leave. Walk away. No shame in that." Jack shook his head. "I don't want to walk away." "Why?" she asked. He looked up at her, voice steady. "Because for the first time since I came to this galaxy, I feel like I belong. And it's because of you." Zara looked away, but he reached up and gently touched her hand. "Whatever comes next," he said, "we face it together." But in the shadows, a council informant had heard everything. He turned, activated his comlink, and whispered 3 words. "They have bonded. The council forbids it. No human may bond her." A loud bang shattered the quiet morning air. Zara woke up fast. Her warrior instincts were still sharp. Even after years of peace, her body reacted to danger like a drum to a strike. She looked toward the door of her small room. Another bang. Then, a crash. "Zara of the Garnock bloodline," a voice shouted from outside, sharp and metallic. "Open the door, by order of the Galactic Council." She stood, pulling on her old armor chestplate, scratched but still strong. She didn't need weapons, she was a weapon. Before she could take a step, the door exploded inward. 4 alien guards entered, tall and armored. Behind them came a small, silver-skinned alien with long fingers holding a glowing tablet. "You are under council investigation," said the silver one. "Your actions with a human engineer have broken Law 73A. Cross-species bonding between warborn and peace-blooded is forbidden." Zara didn't blink. "Where is Jack?" "He has already been taken." Something deep inside her heart cracked. Jack was pulled from his sleeping bunk 2 hours earlier. The guards didn't let him speak. They tied his hands, covered his head, and dragged him through the quiet corridors like he was a criminal. Now, he sat in a cold metal chair inside the high chamber, a round courtroom floating above the city. Hundreds of council members filled the seats above. Alien eyes stared down at him like he was dirt under their boots. "State your name," someone said. "Jack Taylor." "State your species." "Human." "State your crime." Jack raised an eyebrow. "That's what I'm waiting for you to tell me." Murmurs echoed through the hall. The elder spoke next. His voice was slow, full of pride. "You have formed a forbidden bond with Zara, of the extinct Garnock warriors. The law forbids physical and emotional bonding with her kind." "Why?" Jack asked. "Because she's different. Stronger." "Because she is dangerous," the elder replied. "The Garnock nearly destroyed 2 planets during their reign. They were built for war. They feel too deeply. They love too fiercely. No peace-blooded being can survive a life with them." Jack leaned forward. "I'm not afraid of her." "That is foolish," said the elder. "And your foolishness may cost you your freedom." Just then, the chamber doors slammed open. Zara stepped inside. Her armor was scratched, dented, and old, but she walked like a queen. Her eyes, dark as a storm, looked directly at Jack, then at the council. Gasps spread across the chamber. No Garnock had ever entered here. "You will not speak for me," Zara said. Her voice echoed, deep and calm. "If I am to be judge, then let me face my judges." The elder stood. You are forbidden to speak." "Then silence me," she shouted. "Come down here and try." No one moved. "I did not choose to fall for a human," she said, softer now. "I did not plan it, but it happened, and I will not lie about it." Jack smiled from his chair. Zara continued. "He saw me, not as a threat, not as a beast, as someone who matters. And if that is a crime, then your laws are broken." A younger council member stood up. "Ancient Law 4.9 still holds power, the right of choice. If challenged, any law may be tested." The elder looked angry, but he could not deny it. "You want to test this bond?" Zara growled. "Then test it. I invoke the right." Silence. Then the elder spoke. "Very well. But if you lose, you will both be banished to the ice colonies. Forever." Jack stood. "We accept." 2 days later, the entire city gathered in the arena of judgment. This arena had not been used in over 200 years. It was built for blood, for trial by battle. The right of choice allowed one to fight for their right to love, to speak, to exist. Most who entered never came out. Zara stood in the center of the ring. The twin suns burned overhead. Crowds roared from every side. She had to fight 3 council champions. If she survived, her bond with Jack would be legal. Jack stood in the shadows of the gate, fists clenched. "You don't have to do this," he had told her before. "We can run. And hide forever." She had said, "No, I hide no more." The first champion stepped forward, a large 4-armed brute from planet Kavak. He swung twin axes, his muscles rippling. Zara didn't wait. She moved fast, ducked low, and slammed into him with her shoulder. The sound of bone cracking filled the air. The Kavak champion hit the sand hard and did not get up. The crowd gasped. The second fighter was a tall insectoid, moving like smoke, carrying sharp blades on each wrist. They danced around Zara, cutting her arms, her side, her leg. But Zara roared and grabbed the insect's thin body. She squeezed, and the champion screamed. When she dropped them, they didn't move. Blood ran down her arms. Her breath came heavy. Then the third champion entered. He was from her own species, a surviving Garnuk male, tall and wide like her, but cruel in the eyes. "You shame our blood," he said. "For a human." "For someone who sees me," she replied. The fight was brutal. They both knew the same moves. They had trained in the same war school. The arena shook with every punch. Every hit echoed like thunder. Zara fell once, twice. But each time she rose, her eyes found Jack in the crowd. He didn't shout. He didn't cry. But he stood tall, his hand over his heart. That gave her strength. She waited for the Garnuk male to swing hard. Then she rolled under it, jumped, and brought her elbow crashing down on his neck. He hit the ground and stayed down. The arena went silent. A few heartbeats later, the crowd exploded in cheers. Zara stood, bleeding and shaking, but she raised her hand. Jack ran to her side. The elder council stood slowly. "You have won your right," he said. "The law bends, for now." But even as the crowd celebrated, deep inside the council chambers, plans were already being made. They had lost this battle. But the war to separate them forever had just begun. She fought for him, in front of the entire galaxy. The arena was still stained with her blood. The next day, the sand was darker, quiet. Even the wind that passed over the stone walls seemed careful, as if it remembered the battle from before. Zara sat in a small medical tent behind the arena. Her body ached. Her right arm was wrapped in thick bandages. Deep purple bruises covered her ribs. Her jaw clicked when she moved it. But she didn't care about the pain. All she could think about was Jack. He had held her after the fight. Not as a hero, not as a legend, but simply as a woman who needed someone. No one had ever held her like that before. But now, as the tent flap opened and council guards stepped inside, her quiet moment ended. Zara of Garnock, one of them said coldly. The council calls for you again. A final test must be completed before your bond is accepted. Zara frowned. I already fought. I already won. That was only the trial of strength, said the second guard. Now comes the trial of compatibility. Zara stood slowly, towering over them. Explain. The silver-skinned clerk from before entered behind the guards. He looked nervous. The law, he said softly, states that species who wish to bond must prove they are physically compatible, not just emotionally or legally, but biologically. Zara's blood ran cold. You want to test our mating? The clerk nodded, looking at his feet, in private chambers, with scientists observing. Rage bloomed in her chest like a wildfire. You treat love like a machine, she growled. You think it can be measured in a lab. But before she could say more, Jack entered the tent. His eyes met hers. I know, he said softly. They told me to. Zara looked at him, searching his face. You don't have to do this. Not for me. I want to, Jack said, because this isn't just about us anymore. It's about every future like ours. The private chamber was quiet and cold. Soft lights hummed from the walls. A single scanner unit stood in the corner. 2 seats, 1 table, and a small medical drone floated between them. Jack and Zara stood on opposite sides of the room. Both looked uncomfortable, not because of each other, but because of the eyes they couldn't see. Behind the walls, behind glass and wires, the council watched. A voice came through a speaker. You may begin. We only need basic scans. No physical contact required. Zara let out a breath she had been holding. Jack gave a small laugh. Thank God. They sat. A scanner moved over Zara's skin. Then Jack's. Red lights flickered. Symbols appeared on the wall. The drone beeped and floated between them, taking samples from their hands, from their breath, from the skin near their necks. For 20 minutes, there was silence. And then, the screen lit up in green. A robotic voice spoke. Compatible genetic response. Shared hormonal response. Fertility confirmed. Zara froze. Jack blinked. Wait. Fertility. The voice repeated. Cross-species fertility detected. Conception is biologically possible. Jack looked at Zara. She looked at him. Then, without meaning to, they both smiled. Outside the chamber, the council sat in silence. This was not what they expected. News of the results spread like a wildfire. The galactic net exploded with headlines. Human and Garnock bond confirmed fertile. Love or threat. Galaxy divided. Forbidden couple could birth new species. Some aliens celebrated. Some were horrified. Others simply watched, confused and curious. But one thing was clear. Zara and Jack were now symbols. They didn't ask to be. But now, they had no choice. Days passed. The council tried to stay quiet, but the public demanded answers. They called a new hearing, this time on live broadcast across all major systems. Zara and Jack stood in the middle of the Great Hall of Judgment, surrounded by cameras, officials, and alien citizens from across the galaxy. The elder spoke. You have passed all tests, but we must ask, what future do you bring? Jack stepped forward first. I didn't come here looking for love, he said. I came here to work, to build. But I met someone who showed me what real strength looks like. Not in war, not in power, but in kindness, in pain survived, in loneliness endured. He looked up at Zara. She showed me a love no one else ever could. The hall was quiet. Zara took a step forward. My people are gone, destroyed by war, by pride, by our own hands. I am the last. I thought I would die alone. She paused, looked out at the thousands of alien eyes watching. But one human saw me. Not my size, not my scars. Me. He didn't fear me. He didn't want to change me. He just stayed. She looked at Jack. And for that, I will stand by him until my last breath." A small alien in the crowd began to clap. Then another. Then the whole hall. For the first time in history, the Great Hall of Judgment cheered for a human and a Garnock together. But far above the city, in a shadowed room of the council tower, another voice was speaking. "They must not be allowed to reproduce," the voice hissed. "A new species could change the balance of power. The Garnock line must end." "And the human?" someone else asked. "Kill him," the voice whispered. "Let her feel what it means to lose. Only then will she remember what she is." That night, as Jack and Zara sat on the rooftop of their home, watching the stars, a red light blinked on a nearby rooftop. A silent figure crouched low, cloaked in shadows, holding a sniper rifle powered by plasma. The crosshairs locked on Jack's heart. His finger tightened on the trigger. But just before he fired, Zara moved. She grabbed Jack and pulled him down. The shot fired, a blast of heat and light, burning through the wall behind them. "Run," she shouted, her eyes already scanning the shadows. Jack grabbed a small emergency pack and followed her. They raced down the stairs. The peace they had fought for was already under attack. The council's trick. She must prove they can mate. They didn't sleep that night. Zara and Jack hid in a broken service tunnel deep under the city. The air smelled of oil and rust. Strange insects crawled in the corners. The tunnel was dark, but it was safe. For now. Jack sat on the ground, breathing fast. His heart still raced. The shot had nearly killed him. Zara stood near the tunnel wall, scanning the shadows. Her fingers gripped a metal pipe like it was a sword. She hadn't blinked in minutes. "They tried to kill me," Jack whispered. "No," Zara said, her voice low. "They tried to kill us." She turned to him, eyes cold with anger. "The council never wanted us to win. They never wanted truth. They wanted silence. And now, they want it by blood." Jack looked down. "We need help." Zara nodded. "I know someone." The next morning, disguised in old worker robes, they traveled to the lower sector, a place of broken buildings, forgotten droids, and beings who lived in the cracks of power. There they met Rix, an old friend of Zara's tribe. Rix was a short alien with 4 eyes and a mind like a sharp knife. He once built weapons for the Garnock. Now he sold scrap to survive. "You brought a human here?" Rix asked, surprised. "He's mine," Zara said. Rix tilted his head. "So the stories are true." "We need shelter," she said, "just for a few days." Rix nodded slowly. "You'll have it. But news is bad. The council declared you traitors, said the bond was fake, that the tests were lies. They now demand proof of true union." Zara's fists clenched. "We already gave them proof." Rix looked away. "They want more. They say unless you show full physical bonding and produce results, they'll declare you a fraud. They're calling for public ceremony." Jack blinked. "What kind of ceremony?" "They want a breeding ritual," Rix said bitterly. "Recorded, witnessed, judged." Jack and Zara both fell silent. "That's not love," Jack whispered. "That's a show." Rix nodded. "Yes, but the galaxy eats shows. They want blood or birth." For the next few days, they stayed hidden. Zara grew restless. Jack tried to stay calm, but he could see the weight in her eyes. One evening, while Jack was fixing a broken food unit in the corner, Zara stood still in the middle of the room, her hand on her stomach. "What is it?" Jack asked. She didn't answer. "Zara," he said again. She turned slowly. Her face was pale, her body shaking slightly. "Something is strange." He walked over. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head. "No, not pain. Just different. Inside." They rushed to a small underground clinic run by an old droid medic. It wasn't much, just cold lights and half-working machines, but it was better than nothing. The droid scanned her. Its round eyes blinked twice. Then it beeped. "Pregnancy detected," it said. Jack's mouth opened. Zara stepped back. The droid continued. "One fetus. Hybrid structure. Health. Stable. Age. Early stage. Species match. Human Garnock viable. First known successful conception." Jack slowly smiled. "We're having a child." Zara's eyes filled with tears. Her whole body shivered, not from fear, but from something deeper, something sacred. "I thought I would never be a mother," she whispered. "I thought my body wasn't made for life." Jack gently held her hand. "It is. Now we know." But their happiness couldn't last. News of the pregnancy leaked. Someone in the clinic reported them. By nightfall, the council broadcasted a new command across the galaxy. "The bond between Zara and the human Jack Taylor has produced a forbidden hybrid. The child is proof of lawbreaking. They must return at once, or face full execution." Crowds divided again. Some demanded their protection. Others called them dangerous. And in the deep chambers of the council tower, a special unit was sent out. The Black Hand, an elite team trained to hunt traitors. Inside Rix's safe house, Jack and Zara packed their things. "We can't run forever," Jack said. Zara looked at him, her voice calm but firm. "Then we don't run." "What do you mean?" She stood tall. "We face them. We show them the truth. Not just words. Not just tests. We stand in front of the galaxy and show them our child, our bond, our future." Jack hesitated. "They'll try to stop us." "Let them try." The next day, Zara made a bold decision. She called for an open declaration, a tradition even older than council law. It was called the bonfire right. Only once every 100 years, someone could claim sacred unity under the stars. It could not be interrupted. It could not be denied. And if done right, it would be binding across all council systems. But it came at a cost. The declaration had to be made publicly, on the sky altar of the high tower, before the entire galaxy. Under threat of death, Rix tried to stop her. "They'll kill you." "Maybe," Zara said. "But if we hide, they win." Jack looked at her. "I'm with you," he said, "to the end." The sky altar stood at the top of the highest tower on the council world. Made of ancient stone and glowing crystal, it hadn't been used in over a century. But now it shined again. News of the bonfire declaration spread fast. Ships from every star system gathered. Cameras floated in the sky. Citizens watched from planets far away. And at the center of the altar, Zara and Jack stood, hand in hand. The Elder Council stood below, silent, angry. A voice echoed from the altar. "Speak your bond." Zara raised her voice. "I, Zara of the Garnock, choose this human, not for power, not for survival, but because in him I found truth." Jack followed. "And I, Jack Taylor of Earth, choose this woman, not for glory, not for history, but because with her, I finally feel alive." They raised their joined hands. A beam of light surrounded them. Bonfire complete, the system declared, witnessed by 10 billion. Unity confirmed. Cheers erupted across the galaxy. But below the altar, a Black Hand assassin lifted a weapon. His eyes locked on the pregnant warrior. Finger on the trigger. But just before he could fire, a second blast came from behind. The assassin dropped. Rick stood behind him, holding a smoking blaster. "You forgot the part where I hate traitors," he said. Zara smiled. But the war wasn't over yet. The child growing inside her was still the biggest threat the galaxy had ever seen. The assassin was sent. No one could accept their love. Rain fell like silver needles across the city towers. The lights of 10,000 alien ships floated above the council world like a second sky. The bonfire ritual was over, but the storm had only just begun. In a quiet room deep within the tower, Zara sat near a window, one hand on her stomach. Her child. Their child. Growing inside her. Alive. Strong. Real. Jack stood by the door, checking the lock again. He hadn't slept. His eyes were sharp, his body tense. The assassin from before had nearly killed them, and more would come. Rix, leaning against the wall, cleaned his weapon with slow hands. They'll try again. Maybe tonight. Maybe tomorrow. But they won't stop. Jack nodded. We need to disappear. You can't, Rix replied. You're too famous now. Half the galaxy loves you. The other half wants you dead. Zara turned. Her voice was calm. Then we don't run. We move forward. Where? Jack asked. How? My people had a place, she said. A sacred world, hidden from the stars. No maps, no signals, just old memory. My child will be safe there. Rix frowned. You're talking about Varquin. Jack looked between them. What's Varquin? A dead world, Rix said. Abandoned. Covered in storms and shadows. Even the council doesn't go there. Zara nodded. Exactly. That night, under thick clouds and watchful drones, they made their escape. Rix had an old star jumper, slow but silent. Its engines hummed like insects. It could fly under radar, through the back doors of space. Jack piloted while Zara watched the skies. Her body was slower now. The pregnancy had reached a stage where even she felt it. Her strength wasn't gone, but it was changing. They left orbit in silence. No lights. No trace. Just the stars. And the unknown. Meanwhile, deep in the council war chamber, shadows gathered. 12 high council members sat around a dark table. Their faces were hidden by silver masks. None spoke names. Only code. Alpha 1 slammed a hand on the table. They escaped again. Theta 7 replied coldly. The public believes their love, but their child is a threat. If the Garnock blood survives through a hybrid, said Beta 2, our balance ends. New war. New power. Alpha 1 turned to the shadows. Send the Viper protocol. From the black walls, a silent figure stepped forward. Her skin was pale as frost. Her eyes glowed yellow. No name. No voice. Just death. She bowed once. And vanished. The Viper was loose. In hyperspace, the jumper flew through a narrow tunnel of light. Jack kept his eyes on the screen. 30 minutes to Varquin. Zara sat beside him, breathing slower now. You okay? He asked. Yes, she whispered. Just tired. You've done more than anyone ever should, he said. She gave a soft smile. You've stayed. Always. Rix coughed from behind. Romance later. We've got a signal. They all looked at the screen. A red light flashed. What is it? Jack asked. Rix cursed. Someone's tracking us. Cloaked ship. Fast. Zara stood, holding her side. It's them. Jack pulled the ship hard to the right. Alarms screamed. Behind them, space ripped open. A black serpent-shaped ship entered, silent as death. No name. No flags. Only a red symbol across its side. A broken heart pierced by claws. The Viper, Zara said. The Council's ghost assassin. The black ship fired. The jumper shook violently. Shields down to 50. Rix shouted. Jack shouted. Hold on. They dove into a nearby asteroid field. Rocks the size of houses floated in silence. The Viper followed. Blasts echoed through space. Jack spun the ship left and right. Zara gripped the wall, steadying herself. We can't outrun it, Rix said. We need to land. Where? Jack shouted. That moon. Zara pointed. A small gray moon, half frozen, appeared through the dust. Jack didn't argue. They crash-landed hard. The ship slid across ice, sparks flying. Metal screamed. The engines died. Then, silence. Jack unbuckled fast, pulling Zara from her seat. "Are you okay?" She nodded, wincing. "I'm fine. The baby's okay." Rix was already grabbing weapons. "They'll be here in seconds." They ran into the frozen caves nearby. Breath turned to mist. Walls shimmered with old crystal. It felt like a grave. Behind them, the Viper landed. Metal legs touched ice. The assassin stepped out. Her eyes scanned the footprints. And she followed. Inside the caves, they ran until the path split. Rix stopped. "Go left. I'll hold her off." Jack shook his head. "Rix." "Go." Rix shouted. "You have something to protect." Zara stared at him. "You're a good man." Rix smiled. "I'm also a great shot." He turned and vanished into the shadows. Jack and Zara went left, deeper into the dark. Behind them, the cave echoed with plasma fire. Rix's blaster sang once, twice, then silence. A few moments later, the Viper walked out, one hand smoking. She continued her hunt. Deep inside the cave, Zara fell to one knee. "It's time," she said. Jack knelt beside her. "What do you mean?" "The baby," she said, breathing hard. "It's coming." Jack's face went pale. "Here. Now." Zara laughed once, painfully. New life chooses its moment. Jack looked around. The cave was cold, rough, unsafe. But he had no choice. He helped her lie down, gave her his jacket, held her hand. She screamed once, twice. Then, a cry, a small, loud, powerful cry. Jack stared. A tiny creature, warm and glowing, lay in his arms. Half human, half Garnuk, alive. Zara reached out. "Let me see him." Jack placed the child in her arms. She wept, not from pain, but from joy, from love, from victory. The Viper reached the chamber entrance. She saw them. She raised her weapon. But then, she saw the baby. And for a moment, just a moment, she hesitated. The child opened his eyes and stared at her. The Viper lowered her weapon and walked away. 3 days later, a small message appeared on the galactic net. No video, no names, just a sentence. "A new life has begun, born of human and Garnuk, born of truth, not law." It spread like wildfire. Some rejoiced, some feared, but none could deny. A new future had arrived. A human child was born. The galaxy will never be the same. The world had gone quiet. In the deep caves of the frozen moon, time seemed to stop. The snow outside fell without sound. No ships flew in the sky. No voices echoed through the canyons. Just one sound filled the dark. A heartbeat. A small, soft, human Garnuk heartbeat. The child lay wrapped in cloth made from Jack's jacket. Zara held him close, her arms shaking from exhaustion, her eyes filled with light. Jack sat beside them, staring at his son like he was made of stars. For a long time, no one spoke. "He looks peaceful," Jack whispered. Zara nodded. "He's quiet now, but I can feel it. He is strong." Jack gently touched the baby's hand. It wrapped around his finger with surprising grip. "We need to name him," Zara said. Jack smiled. "You choose." Zara looked down at her son. Her voice was soft. "Kale." "Kale," Jack repeated. "What does it mean?" "In my tongue," she said. "It means light in the ruins." Jack kissed her forehead. "Perfect." Far above them, in space, ships searched. Council drones scanned every surface of the moon. Warships floated in orbit like dark birds of prey. But none found the cave. The Viper had left no trace. Her report said, "Target lost in asteroid collision." The Council believed it. For now. Weeks passed. Kale grew fast. His skin was smooth like Jack's, but his eyes glowed faint blue like Zara's. His hands were strong. His body solid. He laughed early. He walked early. and when he cried, the cave trembled. One day, Jack sat outside the cave entrance, holding Cale. He watched the stars. Zara joined him, sitting beside them. "When will we go back?" Jack asked. Zara was quiet. "We can't go back." "Why not?" "Because the galaxy still fears what it doesn't understand. They may not know where we are, but if they find us, they won't just come for us. They'll come for him." Jack looked down at Cale, who had fallen asleep in his arms. "So we hide forever?" he asked. "Not forever," Zara said. "Just until the world is ready." But the world was already changing. Rumors spread through the outer systems. A hybrid child, born of love between warrior and engineer. A boy who could bend metal with his voice, who could speak before he had teeth, who glowed under moonlight. No one knew the truth, but the story traveled. And stories are powerful. Soon, people began to speak out. Young aliens who had fallen in love with outsiders, warriors who were tired of being called monsters, scientists who believed in change. The story of Jack, Zara, and Cale became a whisper of hope. Back in the cave, Jack watched Cale stack rocks with strange precision. He smiled. "He's building things." "He gets that from you," Zara said. Then she stopped. Jack followed her gaze. A shadow moved outside. He stood quickly, holding Cale close. But it wasn't a soldier. It was a girl. Alien. No weapons. Young. Scared. Alone. Zara approached her slowly. "Who are you?" The girl dropped to her knees. "My name is Ray. I heard the story. I believed it. And I came to find you. I had nowhere else to go." Jack stepped forward. "How did you find us?" "I didn't," Ray said. "I followed a dream. It led me here." Zara and Jack shared a look. Then Zara reached out. "You're safe now." Rai was the first. Then came more. One by one, broken souls began arriving. Young and old, human and alien. They were tired of the laws, tired of being told who to love, tired of hiding. They came to learn from Jack. They came to fight beside Zara. They came to see Cale. And slowly, a village was born. Inside the caves, new homes were built. New families formed. Different species shared meals, taught each other languages, raised children who looked like none before. Zara stood tall again, leading with strength and grace. Jack built power systems, shelters, farms. And Cale, he grew. By age 3, he was lifting stones twice his size. By age 5, he was speaking 3 languages. And by age 6, he stood before the village and said, "I will not hide anymore. I was born of love, not war, and I will walk the stars one day, not to conquer, but to unite." The council saw this, and they trembled. A full decade passed. Cale became a symbol, not just to his people, but to the galaxy. His name meant change, meant balance, meant the future, and when he was ready, he built a ship, small, sleek, made of both human metal and garnock crystal. He called it Hope. Before he left, he stood between his parents. Jack, older now, but proud. Zara, still strong, but gentler than ever. "Are you sure?" Jack asked. "Yes," Cale said. "They might still fear you," Zara warned. Cale smiled. "Then I'll give them something greater than fear." "What?" "Understanding." He hugged them both. "I'll come back. I promise." And then he was gone, into the stars. The galaxy watched his ship break orbit. Broadcasts played the launch across thousands of worlds. In that moment, something shifted. Walls cracked. Hearts opened. For the first time in centuries, difference became beauty. The council tried to fight it, but even they grew tired. New members replaced the old. The laws were rewritten. The fear began to fade. And the story of Zara and Jack became more than legend. It became history. Years later, an old man sat on a hill beside a tall alien woman. Their hands were still linked. They watched children run through fields, some human, some Garnuk, some both, some neither. Peace had come, not from war, but from one choice: to love the one no one else would, and to never let go. The end.